the program.
Namaste. Namaste. Hello, namaskara. Good morning to one and all. ICI is very active even during lockdown to benefit the civil engineering fraternity. ICI is organizing series of webinars. One of such webinars is today's one. Concrete is the most popular and wonderful material which we use in the field. It's the most used material next only to water. ICI, in association with RV College of Engineering, is organizing a webinar on special concrete for special structures. This is Dr. Radhakrishna, Professor and Head, Department of Civil Engineering, RV College of Engineering. It is by an eminent speaker. Now I request my colleague, Engineer Dhanush, to introduce the speaker and welcome the gathering. Over to Dhanush, please.
Thank you, sir. It is my honor and privilege to be introducing our speaker for today's session. Dr. V. Ramachandra has finished his Bachelor's of Civil Engineering from UVCE Bangalore. He finished his MTech in Marine Structures from NITK Surathkal. Sir also holds a PhD degree in Structural Engineering. Sir is professionally, sir has worked as a Professor of Civil Engineering at SIT Tumkur for 20 years. In 2005, Sir took over as the Zonal Head, South Technical Ultratech Cements Bangalore. In 2016, Sir became the Head Technical Ultratech Cements Mumbai. In addition to all his professional duties, these are some of his initiatives for the construction industry. He is actively involved in technology demonstration projects on white topping in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Kharagpur. He has contributed immensely to the field of alternative technologies for mass housing projects. He's been continuously involved in the development of new cement and cement-based products. He's also been an active member of several professional organizations in industry and academia, to name a few. He served as the former Vice President of the Indian Concrete Institute. He currently serves as a member in the Academic Council of several autonomous institutions. He is also a member of Board of Studies in the Civil Engineering Department of various universities and institutions. Currently, Sir serves as the Joint President of Head Technical Services at Ultratech Cements Mumbai. He is also a member in the Rigid Payments Committee of Indian Roads Congress, New Delhi. He is also a member of the Civil Engineering Division Council, Bureau of Indian Standards, New Delhi. In addition to all the points listed above, I'd like to add that Sir has been an ardent supporter of all the activities here at RVCE. Not a lot of people actually know this, but when we made the first canoe for the ASC National Conference a few years ago, Sir was one of the first people we actually approached, and he was very supportive, and he redirected us to the regional technical head, and Ultratech actually ended up sponsoring the entire cement requirement that was there for the project. Sir, I hope you continue to support us in all our future endeavors as well. I now request you to take over the session and address the attendees who have joined us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Dhanush, and my good friend, Professor Radhakrishna, and Dr. Ramesh, and welcome to all of you friends for today's discussion on special concretes for special structures. It is my pleasure to be associated with both Indian Concrete Institute, with which I have been associated for the past 25 years. And more than that, probably even with the education or with the engineering education, my association is more than 25 years, I would say. Therefore, my pleasure is equal between Indian Concrete Institutes and the educational institutes. Now, straight away going to the topic of today's discussion, special concretes for special structures. Now, we all know what concrete is and how it is useful in the day-to-day construction. The construction industry, as you know, is the second largest, and it is the oldest industry next only to agriculture. And concrete or cement is the second largest material that is used in our country. Number one, all of you know, it is water. And currently it is about 250 kgs. The use of cement is about 250 kgs per head per year. That is the cement consumption. 250 multiplied by the population of our country, that will give you the total cement consumed in our country. Currently, India has a potential or a capacity of producing about 500 million tons of cement, but we are currently producing about 360 or 370 million tons to cater to the current requirement. And coming to concrete, concrete is a continuously evolving material. It is not the same old 1-4 concrete that we talk about. There are many varieties of concretes which have come into being. At least last count, I do not know the number now, but last count when we listed, it was 65 plus special concretes that were being used, actually being used. And all of you know that concrete is the most used material, and sometimes it is misused also, and sometimes it is abused. When it is abused, you see that the structures fail, and that is the time, very unfortunately, that is the time when engineers are in the news and TV channels when some structure collapses. And lastly, about concrete, I would like to say that concrete is a most democratic material. I compare concrete to democracy because concrete, as you know, just like democracy, anyone can participate in democracy. Similarly, anybody can make concrete, whether he is trained, semi-skilled or untrained, whoever. We see that in our country, anybody can make concrete, and it endures whatever we do, and it is the most tolerant material. As I said earlier, it is used, misused and abused, very similar to democracy. Democracy is also treated in that way. That way we can say concrete is a democratic material. Now, the question comes, why do we require new concretes at all? Are we not happy with the concretes that we already have? We already have so many varieties of concretes. Are we not happy with that? Somehow in our minds, see, earlier days when somebody constructed their house, they felt that their house should be like stone. But now the fascination is more like, my structure should behave like steel. Therefore, concrete also should behave like steel is one fascination that we have. And we also want to take advantage of the strain hardening stage of concrete also, not just the linear state of stress strain curve. And today we have a lot of structural requirements and architectural challenges. Many architects want the structure to be very sleek and beautiful to look at. Therefore, these are the challenges. Commercial needs, of course, whatever you decide, finally it is the commercial need that guides our construction. And there are several new technologies that are coming. Some of these new technologies I will share with you in the next 45-50 minutes. And repair, even for not just for construction, even for repair, rehabilitation or retrofitting, concrete is the best material. Newer materials for rehabilitation are coming up. And there are a lot of ecological concerns. People say that any construction or any industry has to be a sustainable industry. Therefore, sustainable development is definitely a need. Whether we use the marginal materials or other cementitious materials like fly ash or slag and so on, which makes the construction sustainable, that also guides the development of new concretes. And above all, it is the dynamics of evolution. Nothing in the world can be stand still. Things keep on changing, and therefore concrete also is no exception. It keeps on changing year after year. Now, some important value-added concretes are VAC is, you can understand that it is a special concrete or value-added concrete. There are several things. I am not going to list 65 varieties of concrete, only some important things I'll list out. It maybe is a high strength concrete, high performance concrete, fiber reinforced concrete, ultra high performance concrete, foam concrete. This is one thing that I will talk about in the coming time. Self-compacting concrete, self-curing concrete, smart or self-cleansing concrete is something which is coming nowadays. Self-healing, that means if something happens inside, some cracks or something, concrete will heal by itself. There is no need to apply any external healing. Self-cleaning concrete, pervious concrete, roller compacted concrete, reflective concrete, translucent concrete, etc., etc. But now, let us look into some special concretes In recent days, this has made a lot of impact. In recent times, what are these special concretes which are used for some special structures? One example I would like to give, when we say a concrete of strength M40, M40 can be used for buildings, it can be used for bridges, it can be used for roads, or for several other things. But then it is not the same M40 concrete that goes into all these structures. For different structures, it can be in different ways. There are definitely certain modifications that are done to the performance of concrete. Therefore, it is not just the strength of concrete which is important, it is the performance of this concrete, how it performs for that particular structure. That is much more important. Let us see, I have listed out different varieties of concretes for different types of constructions. As we go ahead, let us see. Let me start with concrete that is used for certain precast construction. Now, I am taking an example of mass housing project, a mass housing project where precast construction was adopted. Now, when I say precast construction, the advantage is, I mean, the specialty in this that I am showing to you now, it is that there is a project which came up in the outskirts of Bangalore, which was a 3D precasting. It was a three-dimensional precasting, and therefore the concrete requirement, the construction requirement, the way it was done, it was totally different. Now, let us look at some of these projects. Most of my presentation has many photographs, therefore it may be easier for you to appreciate. Now, the project that I am going to talk about was carried out by the Bangalore Development Authority. It is a housing project. It is a 3D precasting. Entire house was precast. Now, then we had in this project there were 48 blocks of buildings, and the total number of units of the houses were 1,520 units of houses, and there were 32 units per block. And the area of each block was 1,356, and the area of each unit was about 30 meters squared. Let us say roughly about 300 square feet of house. Each house was only about 320 square feet or so. Now, let us see how it was done. Now, the entire house was constructed in a factory. This is similar to, you know, an automobile industry of, let us say, a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, where the bare chassis comes from one end, and the engine is fitted, the steering is fitted, the electrical components are fitted, mechanical components are fitted, etc. And when it goes out of the assembly line, the entire two-wheeler or the entire car is ready. Now, this follows the same pattern. The entire house is constructed not at the site, but it is constructed at the factory. This is the plant and assembly line. This is how you can see it has a single layer of reinforcement for walls. All these doors, windows, everything is precast at the site only, and at the plant, and then concreted, and then it is taken to the structure. Now you can see this kitchen is ready, along with the electrical fittings, tiles, and also the cooking platform. Everything is ready, but not at this side, but all this is made ready in the factory itself. In the factory itself, this whole thing is ready. Even the bathroom with all bathroom fittings, everything is finished. And with this condition, almost, you know, it is a plug and play kind of a thing. You can enter the house, but then this house is not at your site, it is at the plant. That is the thing. Now, once all this thing is ready, when this construction of the house is going on in the factory, at the site, the foundation excavation and the foundation construction is going on. Now, even for this foundation, we can use the precast concrete blocks. The factory sends precast concrete blocks, and they can be attached to each other, excavation done, and the foundation is done. Therefore, you see the construction of foundation is also going on at the site. Construction of the superstructure is going on in the factory. Therefore, the entire project construction is quite fast. Now, after this, what happens? The entire house, piece by piece, it is transported from the precast factory to the site. Now, this is brought to the site, and you can see at the site this is being lifted, and this is lifted and it is put into its particular place, and the joints are all finished, and therefore the entire house is constructed like this. Now please note, this is a mass housing project, and the plan of all the houses it remains same, so that it is a modular construction. Now what is the concrete requirement here? The concrete requirement for any precast project is that it should attain early strength. Within, let us say, 3 days, it achieves its strength, so that you will have enough strength for handling the structure, taking it to the site, lifting it, and then lowering it to the place where it is to be constructed. That is the advantage with this. Now, one more special requirement in this is the joints that you make there, one above the other. When you fix them, making the joints is a very important thing. And even in this case, there were a few trials that were carried out, and finally a proper jointing material was arrived at. Now, even a staircase can be similarly made in the factory. It can be brought to the site. This is the case of a simple dogleg stairs that is being made in pieces, and it is joined at the site to make a beautiful staircase in the actual site. Now, once you bring that precast unit, making it at site would hardly take about 2 to 3 hours of time. Now, this is this is the project that was supposed to take hardly 1 month's time, but then it took, because this was the first experiment even the contractors did and the government did. Therefore, it took some more time, but still in about 3 months of time, it was possible to get this building. That is the achievement of this. Now, let us go to the next topic: concrete for mass housing projects, cast in situ. Now, the earlier case was for precast housing projects. Now, this is an example for the house that is cast at site or cast in situ. Now, before we actually go to the case study, let us go through the material, that is concrete, that is used for this. Now, in this project, this is called as RMD construction, or monolithic construction. Building Materials and Technology Promotion Council, BMTC of New Delhi, it has recognized this as one of the approved constructions for mass housing, simply because one is the technology is quite robust, the construction quality is good, and it is quite fast. How fast, we will see. Now, before going to the construction, let us see what is the type of concrete that is used here. Now, the concrete that is used here is called as the foam concrete. Now, foam concrete is a variety of concrete where very high strength is not the required. What is required is the way it behaves, the way it performs. Let us see what is the requirement of a foam concrete. Now, this is a very lightweight concrete. Basically, it is a lightweight concrete, and it has the same materials that are used for concrete, that is cement, sand, aggregates, and water. Plus, we have a foaming material. Therefore, it constitutes two things. One is the constituents of the base mix of concrete. Second is the foam. Now, what does the base mix consist of? It is very similar to the concrete that we make otherwise, either OPC or PPC or rapid hardening cement that can be used for making this concrete. And blended cements is always better. And you can use fly ash. The range can be from 10 to 50%. If you make it 50%, it is called as the high volume fly ash concrete. And slag, you can make it 30 to 70%. You can go for a higher replacement of slag, up to 70% you can replace. The advantage is that the heat of hydration of that particular cement is much less because of supplementary cementitious materials, and the strength is not compromised at all. Now, in addition to this, we add a foam. We use a foaming agent, and this foaming agent is an aluminum compound or a bio compound, and this is mixed with the normal cement, water, and aggregates. And we also make use of certain admixtures so that you can keep the water cement ratio as low as possible, but still the flow would be more or it would be high because of the foaming agents that we make. You can see in this photo that is there, he is trying to pour out that concrete. You can see how it is pouring out, like liquid or like a foam. Making the foam is not a very difficult thing to do. You have the foaming agent and water that gets into the foam generator, and through an air compressor, the whole thing is mixed and a pre-foaming solution is formed. And that pre-foaming solution, foam comes out, and that is mixed with concrete to make it foam concrete. Now, the advantage of this foam concrete is that the density would be quite low and the strength would be fairly good. I don't say we can make M60 or M80 concrete with foam, but then for most of our structures, it is not just strength that matters, it is the ease with which you can use that concrete. Now, it has a very low density compared to the normal concrete density of 2,500 kg per meter cube. This can have a density of say 1,600 or 1,200 or even 800, or it can go so low to 600 also. But then if you use 600 or 700, the strength is likely to be less, maybe about 5 MPa or 8 MPa of strength. Therefore, if you need more strength, slightly increase the density, your strength also would increase. Yeah. Now, going ahead, this is the great advantage with this it's a self-leveling concrete. Foam concrete is a self-leveling concrete, and it has a lot of applications. As you can see here, it can be used for void filling, it can be used for making blocks, it can be used for self-leveling, or any foam in situ walls. The last photograph that you're seeing for in situ walls. And you can see how easy it is to work with this concrete because it just moves like a foam. Now, coming to this particular photograph, you can see the shuttering that is used is aluminum shuttering. Aluminum shuttering has an advantage. Number one, it is very light in weight. And number two, after the first floor, the same thing can be lifted and taken to the second floor, second story. That is the advantage with this. Now, using this, this is the story of a building in Gujarat, which was built a few years back. This ground plus 3 building in Gujarat was constructed in at the rate of 4 days per floor. What was required was only 4 days per floor. Therefore, 4 floors, including the ground floor, 4 into 4 is 16. Simple mathematics as that. Now, the whole thing was built in just 16 days time. I mean, what is excluded is after your foundation was done. Let me put that in the proper perspective. Foundation was done. Once the foundation was done, each floor took only 4 days because you had aluminum shuttering and you had foam concrete. Now, why this time time compresses so much is mainly because the finishing is so good. You can see the external finishing, external as well as the internal finishing of concrete. Both of them are so smooth and so good. There is no need for plastering, and the thickness of these walls can be 100 to 125 millimeters, and therefore the finishing is excellent, and you don't require so much of time for additional plastering. Therefore, you can see this entire aluminum shuttering. There are not many people working on that. Very few people can erect this aluminum shuttering because it is light in weight. Maybe the initial cost of procurement of aluminum shuttering is high, but then it can be used number of times. For example, this aluminum shuttering for a house, it can be used a minimum of 150 to 200 times. So many times you can repeat this shuttering. Therefore, you always have the advantage of you can recover the cost within this 100 or 150 repetitions. Now, this technology we were first introduced to this technology in the year 2012. We were aware of this aluminum shuttering and some structures that were built. So we ourselves use this technology. That was in the year 2012. That was in a village, small village near Hubli. It is called Shigaon. In the village Shigaon, the then government of Karnataka wanted to construct several hundreds of buildings, several hundreds of houses of same plan, around 300-350 square feet of houses they want to construct. They wanted to construct it very fast so that the beneficiaries can occupy the houses quite early. And when there was a meeting to discuss various methods to construct the houses very fast, this was one of the technologies that was discussed. And it was said that the then chief minister would visit the village within the next 8 days, and we had 8 days to work on this. Therefore, the next day, very next day, we shifted the aluminum shuttering that is required for the construction of one single house from Bangalore to Shigaon. Now, the day starts, it was done in 2012. Day one, we had the excavation for foundation, and day two, lean concrete was laid as a foundation, and day three, the foundation was completed up to the plinth, and day four, wall shuttering with single layer reinforcement for the walls, and the normal reinforcement whatever we put for the roof. Now, as you can see here, wherever there is a door or a window or a ventilator, all that was taken care of, and those openings are left while we were placing the aluminum shuttering. Now, these are all as per the design. Now, the wall consists of single layer reinforcement. Actually, the wall would need concrete of relatively lower strength, maybe M10, M15 concrete, but the roof would require M20 concrete minimum. But in this case, because we were very short of time and it was a village, maybe 40-60 kilometers from Hubli, therefore we brought only one variety of concrete, that is M20 concrete, for the walls as well as for the roof. Now, fourth day morning, this entire thing was completed in about half a day's time with some 3-4 labors only. And therefore, the same evening, we were able to pump concrete to the roof as well as to the walls. Now, once it was done, and this concrete was designed for 1 day strength. Friends, please note, designing of concrete, that is a concrete mix design, is a very interesting subject. Whether you want the strength to be designed for 28 days strength, or you want that strength in 1 day or 3 days or 7 days, you should design it accordingly. Now, in this case, we had designed it for a 1 day strength so that we could de-shutter. Therefore, fourth day concrete was put, and the fifth day, after 24 hours, we removed all the side shuttering. Only the vertical props were kept for 1 more day. And after that 6th day, they were also removed, and 1 coat of painting was done on the 6th day, and the house was ready on the 7th day morning for opening. We fixed the doors and windows also, and when the then chief minister he came to lay the foundation stone, this entire project was carried out by the Rajiv Gandhi Rural Housing Corporation of Government of Karnataka. And you see the officials of Rajiv Gandhi Corporation also there. And when the chief minister came there, he said, "What is this? I came to lay the foundation stone for the housing project, but one house is already built and ready." And we requested him to inaugurate that house, and he inaugurated it. And later on, what you can see on the right hand side, using that, a lot of houses came up in that place, as well as in several other places in Karnataka. Several thousands of houses have been built. And what you see, a small certificate, is that for promoting this fast construction technology, Ultratech Cements also got a CIDC Vishwakarma Award in the year 2013. Now, going ahead, Not that this technology is useful only for low cost housing, poor man's construction, not for the rich and so on. Now this technology is now being used very extensively in multi-storied buildings also. This is one such example of which was built by L&T on Gachibowli Ring Road in Hyderabad. And in this case, I understand L&T took a cycle of about 10 days per floor. Even one floor built in 10 days, it is definitely a great achievement. Therefore, some 13 stories in 130 days is really a remarkable achievement. Now, if you happen to go on the Gachibowli Road and look for this building, which has used this monolithic construction technology, you will not see this photograph, but you will see, okay, the other photograph, the finished photograph of this building is very beautiful and it is quite popular also. Now, using the same technology and the same material, concrete, that is foam concrete and this, there is another project that came up in the outskirts of Bangalore, Value Build Housing Corporation project, VBHC in Bangalore near Attibele. It consisted of 38 blocks, ground plus 7. It consisted of 1 BHK, 2 BHK and 3 BHK houses. Total of 1,886 apartments were built using the same aluminum shuttering and foam concrete. Now, what was the difference here? What was the additional thing that was done here? These are the details of this. Look at the concrete that was used. The cementitious content was 320 kg per meter cube. Water binder ratio was 0.5, and the PCE based admixture super plasticizer was used. And the retention period, that is the slump retention period, was 2 hours. Slump requirement was 180 millimeters till 2 hours. But then look at the quantity of concrete that was required for the project, 80,000 cubic meters, and that so much of quantity should have as consistent strength as well as consistent slump. Therefore, the challenge there was to maintain the required slump and pumping it to such a great height. And it was a shear wall construction. Now, in this, instrumentation was used in the concrete. Now, this instrumentation, it used what is known as the wireless maturity meter system. What was done was sensors were dropped in concrete at several locations. When we were pouring concrete to the walls and to the roof, they had put sensors, they dumped sensors at different points in the building. And the job of these sensors was to assess the in situ strength of concrete. Now, whatever the sensors catch the property of concrete, the maturity of concrete, that is related to the strength of concrete, and without testing cubes, you can sit in the lab and come to know what is the strength of concrete. This is how each one of these sensors, they are all numbered and identified, and it is like, their location is identified. It is like, you have a smartphone with the location facility and you can identify where it is put. Now, with this, you can find out the strength of concrete, and that was a additional thing that was done in this particular building. Therefore, in this building, VBHC, there was foam concrete, there was aluminum shuttering, and there was the instrumentation. That is all that put together, it made it a very high quality concrete. Now, next, let us go, before I complete housing, one more small experiment that we did, I'll share it with you. This is light gauge steel and foam concrete construction. Here, instead of in situ concrete or precast concrete, what is done is we have a light gauge steel frame. This light gauge steel frame can be assembled in any place very easily, and with that, the structure is made. And on either side of the wall, you put composite boards and pour foam concrete into that. And once you pour foam concrete, the composite boards also stay in place, not that you will remove that shuttering. That shuttering also would remain as a part of the construction, and therefore these are all the different stages of construction. Plinth and foundation are done almost in the same way. Next is erection of light gauge steel wall structure. Then the board, erection of the board, fixing of the cement fiber board. Then all these electrical and sanitary fittings also get into this board or the shuttering. It is very easy to operate that. Once you complete the entire thing, pour concrete. You can see on the right hand side bottom, all the wall panels are all poured with foam concrete, and then finally you have the house. This house was constructed for the Karnataka State Police Housing Corporation. I must mention here, there is a Society for Development of Composites. RV College of Engineering also has an association with this, and there is a very learned man called Dr. Gopalan who has a lot of expertise in developing this LGS form, light gauge steel form work, light gauge steel frame, and with that this has been constructed. Please note, constructing anything, any new technology, and that too for police, you are taking some small risk. Police people are going to stay here, and if it doesn't work well, you are definitely facing a risk. Therefore, even after constructing this, we used to go to this place to find out whether there is any crack or moisture coming out or any other distress, any other problem. See, in all these projects, wherever these new technologies are adopted, even after the construction is over, even after it is occupied, it is essential that we should involve with the people who are staying there and try to learn from probable some mistakes that you might have done, so that your next experiment would be fun. The next variety of concrete that I am going to deal with is a lightweight concrete. As I said earlier, like foam concrete, lightweight concrete is also in this case, what I am going to talk about, it is that it is produced not by the way foam concrete is produced. Its weight is reduced by using either foam or polystyrene beads. Using of polystyrene beads also would reduce the requirement of coarse aggregates. Therefore, it reduces the density of concrete also. You can bring down the density of concrete to about 500 kg per cubic meter. But then the strength also would be in the range of 4 to 5 MPa. There are a lot of benefits of this. Let us see what are the benefits. You can use it as a floor screed. You can use it for sunken slabs. The great advantage is that the thermal conductivity is excellent in this. The K value is also given. The density is hardly 800 to 1200. And as you can see, the certificate, this has been tested at IIT Madras for its properties. And these are all the applications. It can be used in the sunken slab. In this case, the density was 800 cubic meters, kg per cubic meter. And in the second photograph, you can see it is applied for even the rooftop application. It is done. The next variety of concrete that we'll discuss about is the temperature controlled concrete. Now, why we should contain the temperature or to control the temperature? It is from the point of view of thermal cracks. Whenever concrete is used for mass concrete projects, in case of mass concrete projects, the heat of hydration would be so high that you will have huge cracks that is developed in the concrete. Therefore, in such projects, whatever is the strength of concrete that you make, whether it is M20 or 30 or M50, in addition to that, you should also ensure that the temperature of concrete is quite low. The benefits of this is that there is no rapid loss of slump and drying of concrete. There is no early setting or stiffening, and the reduced plastic shrinkage crack, and very easy to finish. And 28 days strength is no issue at all. Now, this is one example of the Bilimoria project where this was used. About 8,000 cubic meters of concrete was used in about 3 months' time, and this was used for M35 concrete. This Bilimoria Towers is in Noida, UP, and it was used in the raft foundation. because the thickness of the raft foundation was 2.4 meters. You can imagine 2.4 meters thick concrete foundation. Therefore, the temperature of concrete, when you place it for the thickness more than 1 meter, it should not exceed 25 degrees centigrade. That was the condition, and the concreting was done at an ambient temperature, and rate of placement was per hour. The placement was about 50 meter cube. You can see here in this project, about 10,000 cubic meter was used. This is the DLF project again in Gurgaon, where the concrete used is M40 thermo concrete, that is temperature controlled concrete. Here again in this project also, the thickness of the raft foundation was 2.4 meters, and the temperature of concrete when placed, it should not exceed 25 degrees centigrade. So the very similar kind of condition in this project also. Now let us come to another project, mass concrete projects. The Dhirubhai Ambani International Convention and Exhibition Center in Mumbai. It was a Reliance Industry owned project, and the construction was done by L&T Construction. And the grades of concrete varied between M40 to M70. Now, look at the condition here. It is not just the strength that matters, M40 or M70. The fresh concrete property was that the concrete flow should not be less than 500 millimeters. Please note, this is a self-compacting concrete. The slump is not measured vertically. It is not the vertical slump cone measurement, but it is the horizontal spread of concrete. It is something like, you know, you pour dosa on a dosa batter, how it spreads. Concrete also should spread like that, and there should be no segregation and no bleeding. Therefore, you must make a cohesive concrete. Second thing is, this is also temperature controlled. The temperature, placing temperature should not exceed 30 degrees centigrade. And then there was another property that was required there. It is a GGBS concrete. As I said earlier, use of slag greatly benefits concrete. In fact, today you have with us Professor Radhakrishna and also Dr. L.R. Manjunatha, who is the chairman of Indian Concrete Institute. Both of them are experts in studying the properties of slag cement and concrete based on slag. Now, in this case, GGBS concrete, 56 days strength was the criteria, and the core temperature should be less than 72 degrees. Now, this is that Dhirubhai Ambani International project, and it was designed using 66% supplementary cementitious materials. That is GGBS. GGBS that was used was 66%. Why 66% of slag was used? It was mainly because of to control the thermal stresses that is coming, particularly in mass concrete foundation. Please note, 66% supplementary cementitious material is used. Therefore, the cement content was only the remaining 34%. Did we compromise on strength? No way. The strength requirement was M50 to M70. Was there a compromise on the slump? No way. Slump was 500 millimeters flowing slump. Therefore, this was a requirement, and that is how it was satisfied. Now let us move to another variety of concrete called high strength concretes. Now, what may be the strength range? It is all, now we are talking of some examples where high strength concretes are used. Now, the example that I would like to take is the Mumbai monorail project. Right now, Mumbai has only one monorail project that travels from Chembur to Wadala, and it was again L&T's Komi. They were the contractors of this project. Now, their requirement was they required two varieties of concrete. One was M45, another is M60. And again, look at the flow of concrete. The flow of the concrete in this project, it should not be less than 550 millimeters. So much of flow it should have. And then the placing temperature should not be greater than 32 degrees. Now, look at the concrete properties. maybe it is M45 or M60, but even M60 should have 48 MPa in 3 days. Within 3 days, it should gain 48 MPa. That means high early strength concrete is required, and the RCPT, which is a measure of durability, rapid chloride permeability test, it should yield not more than 800 coulombs at 56 days, not at 28 days, 56 days. Both chloride permeability is measured, water permeability is also, there is a limit. This was a very challenging project that was executed in Mumbai. You can see here there is a pier, and also there is a junction of pier with the beams. On the left hand side, for the pier concrete, M45 concrete was used, self-compacting concrete. Whereas on the right hand side, the junction of pier, the pier and the beams, you use M60 concrete. That is called as a stitch concrete. Therefore, this stitch concrete should be a flowable concrete, self-compacting concrete. That was the property of the concrete that we earlier saw. Now, this is the finished structure, the Mumbai Mono Rail structure. Now, what was the concrete properties here? Please note, in this case, the cementitious content was 565. I repeat, it is not the cement content, it is the cement plus mineral admixture content was 565 kgs. And what is the water binder ratio? Now, when you use other cementitious materials, you call it as water binder ratio, not water cement ratio. Water binder ratio is so low, 0.24 was the water binder ratio. Therefore, to achieve this high water bind, very low water binder ratio, we have to use high range water reducers. But still, the retention period, slump retention period that was required was 5 hours. Slump requirement was so much. And what is the quantity of concrete? It is not just our laboratory concrete that we do just to showcase that it has this property. No, 65,000 meter cube of concrete should be made with this kind of property. For your information, friends, the transit mixer that you see on the roads, it carries 6 meter cube of concrete. Therefore, 1,000 such transit mixers would carry 60,000, would carry only 6,000. Now 10,000 such mixers would carry 60,000. That is the order of concrete that was produced here. And these were the challenges as I have shown here. The major challenge was to achieve 48 MPa in 3 days for pre-stressing these structures. That was the condition. It was a pre-stressed concrete structure. Therefore, for pre-stressing, you require a certain amount of strength. 48 MPa was that strength. And in this case, we have used 100%, it is the M sand. There was no natural sand used. M sand was used 100% in this case. Now, the next category of concrete that we look for is the concrete for high-rise pumping. Today, high-rise structures are coming all over the world, but in India also. But we have not gone up to the stage where, like Burj Khalifa, not that, out of 800 meters, 550 meters is concrete. Concrete was pumped up to 550 meters there. But in India, the maximum height that we have reached is about 250 meters. Let us see how this high-rise pumping of concrete was handled. This project is called as the Varnavigna project, again in Mumbai. And the grade of concrete varied from M10 to M60. Now look at the condition. Fresh concrete and hardened concrete. The fresh concrete, the flow should be, again, the flow should be 500 millimeters. And look at the height of pumping. The height of pumping should be 250 meters high. Please remember, 250 meters is 1/4 of a kilometer. Pumping water to 250 meters itself is a very challenging thing. Therefore, pumping concrete to 250 meters is a really challenging thing that you have to face. And fly ash should not be more than 25%. That was the requirement for the project. Now, this is that Varnavigna Park project. It was built by Simplex. They were the contractors. Cementitious material was again 595 kgs. Water binder ratio was 0.25. High range water reducer. Flow was 550. And the concrete quantity was 1 lakh cubic meters. So much of cubic meters of concrete was has to be made with the same consistent property. From batch to batch, you cannot vary. That was the challenge. Therefore, our biggest challenge in that project was flowability and pumping of M60 concrete beyond 100 meters. Up to 100 meters, it was something. Beyond 100 meters, it was real challenge, and again with 100% M-sand. Now, let us look at some examples of free flow concrete and self-compacting concrete, some more examples of that. Now, this is the example of a case study of Mantri Pinnacle project, where M70 concrete has been used. It is a high performance concrete. Hypercon means high performance concrete. Now, what is this concrete? You can see the construction and the boom pumps that they are using at different levels. Now, what is the concrete requirement here? Now, it had 45 floors, ground plus 45 was the structure, and the cementitious content was 450 kg per meter cube. The water binder ratio was 0.28, and high range of water admit reducers were used, of course. And slump requirement was 150 millimeters of slump. It should remain at, that is the slump required at 3 hours, not at 1 hour or not at 10 minutes. Even after 3 hours of concrete mixing, the slump should be minimum of 150, so that you should be able to pump. Now, now let us look at the other variety of concrete. Concretes used for pavements, concrete roads. Now, you're all aware that in recent times, even in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Mumbai, Pune, everywhere, lot of concrete road projects are coming up, white topping projects are coming up. Therefore, what we use there is called as a pavement quality concrete. Now, the pavement quality concrete and the normal concrete, the difference is, in case of pavement quality concrete, let us say M40 pavement quality concrete, it is measured with respect to its flexural strength. Flexural strength is important in case of PQC. The second requirement is that being a structure, pavement being a structure on the ground, it is likely to crack more. Therefore, as a crack arrestor, we also use fibers. These fibers may be polypropylene fibers or polyester fibers or glass fibers, or it can be steel also, but that will increase the cost. But then these different types of fibers can be used. That is called as pavement quality concrete. I'll just take you through one example of this. All of you are aware of this nice road. Nice road means it looks nice, very nice. Therefore, it is nice. But then there is an expansion for this Nandi Infrastructure Corridor Enterprises. That is the expansion of NICE. And earlier it was a bitumen road. Later on, it was converted to concrete road. The technology is called as white topping. And about 10 kilometers was done in the first phase with M40 concrete. The quantity of concrete required for this was about 80,000 cubic meters. And this was PQC, pavement quality concrete, which I explained. Now, this was the mix design for that particular project. I just want you to observe at some highlighted portion here. Now, the first one I have already said, polypropylene fibers were used at the rate of about 0.9 kg per cubic meter. That is a small percentage of fibers that will help us to a great extent to reduce cracks. Admixture 0.8 normally is used. Sometimes we varied it up to 1%, and water binder ratio was 0.37, and the target mean strength was 48, and what was achieved was much more. So this is the overview of the finished concrete pavement on NICE road. This is one more view of the finished concrete pavement. Now, if we can make concrete pavements in situ, can we make concrete pavements precast? Can we make concrete pavements precast? When we make use of precast concrete for all kinds of bridges, flyovers, etc., can we also make it out of make it for pavements? Now, precast pavements is the new variety of pavements. Precast, pre-stressed concrete pavement. Whenever you make it pre-stressed, you can reduce or you can control the depth also. Instead of 300 mm, normal 300 mm, you can bring it down to 200 mm. Thereby you can reduce on the materials and also slightly optimize the cost. Precast, pre-stressed pavements, what is done is the different panels are designed and they are cast at site. You can see that these precast panels are already made and they are kept on either side of the road. The road is operating, but these precast panels are already kept. Then the road is closed for traffic. This is the case of a road, which was closed to traffic in the evening, and the subbase was finished and the panels were laid, and then the joints were finished, and the road was open in about 12 hours time. The next day morning, the road was open to traffic. Therefore, unlike cast in situ pavements, these precast pavements can be constructed very fast because it is constructed at the site. In fact, in other countries, they have been making these precast roads. In US, they adopt a particular technology. In Singapore, they adopt a different technology, and a very similar technology. It was our dream that we should try this technology, but finally it has been implemented on a small road project, which is about right now it is an ongoing project. Still, it is going on, and about 400 meters is already constructed. Yeah, this is the Singapore experience, precast concrete pavement. The two precast panels are brought close to each other and they are joined using couplers. You can see that these couplers are grouted, and when they are grouted, this forms a neat joint, and there is no problem at all. Now you can see here the person who is looking at it is Dr. Alfred E. We had the advantage of having Dr. Alfred E. in India, in Bangalore a few years back. He had a dream of constructing precast concrete road in Bangalore, but unfortunately he passed away last year, and we have done the first precast road in India this year. He would have been very happy to see this precast road. He used to tell this when he met. Now, this is the precast pavement that we were associated in Nagpur with an excellent contractor and the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. We have tried this project. Precast panels were made at the factory. They were just brought and assembled at site, and this is the different photographs of that particular thing. Now you can see the finished precast road, but the length is right now around close to about 400 meters. It will continue. There is a break and it will continue again. There are some more projects of such precast concrete roads coming up. Maybe after the lockdown, we may do that in Bangalore also. This is an excellent opportunity, and precast concrete is used, therefore the quality is also better. Next, let us go to another variety of concrete called, earlier we talked about high strength concrete. Now let us talk about high early strength concrete. Now, what do we mean by high early strength? Earlier we talked about 3 days. That is also an early strength concrete. Now we talk about much earlier. Maybe 1 day, what is the strength? In 12 hours, what is the strength? High early strength concrete. This is required more for repair works than for construction works. Now let us look at this. This is designed to achieve very high strength, faster load, so that faster loading of the columns, beams and walls is possible. It has the advantage of both workability as well as high strength gain by using special additives and special mix design. Very high durability, early stripping time, and therefore superior finish, and it performs very well. Now, 1 or 2 case studies we will see. Repair of the expansion joint at the Belapur bridge. You know, Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Belapur is a very busy junction, and the bridge had to be repaired, and the quantity of concrete required is small, but then the quality requirement was very high. In the sense, you can't close that road for several days. You can't say I am using concrete, therefore wait for 28 days, wait for 7 days. No, that is not possible. Therefore, in this case for the bridge, Belapur bridge, the challenge was to achieve 35 MPa of concrete in 24 hours. Not even in 3 days, in one day you have to achieve 35 Newton per millimeter square. Therefore, concrete was supplied in small quantities, zip or the bucket concrete, we call it. It was supplied in such small quantities, and the transit time was about 1.5 hours from the RMC to the site. And concreting has to be done during a very heavy traffic movement, and within 24 hours it should be ready for use. The next case is furthermore high early strength concrete. Can we get 40 MPa in 24 hours? That is the challenge. That is a possible thing. And in this case, we are talking of M100 and above. M100 and above up to M25 grade of concrete. The flow, that is the slump, is 550 to 700 millimeters. The fluidity is very high, but it doesn't mean that there will be bleeding and segregation. Segregation resistance and bleeding resistance is also quite high. Where do we use this ultra high strength concrete? It can be used in urban roads, highways, rehabilitation works, air pavement repairs, bridge decks, and so on. And what are the properties? The initial slump is collapse, 1 hour also is collapse, and after 2 hours it should have a slump of 160 millimeters. And look at the strength requirement. 24 hours you require 40 MPa. 1 day it should get so much of strength. 7 days 88 MPa, and 14 days 100 MPa was the strength requirement. Therefore, they have designed this concrete, and you can see it was tested in Bureau Veritas at that time. What is rounded off, I don't know, it's a small this thing you may not be able to read. 103, 113, that is the kind of strength that we got. And we also got the permeability test. Not that high strength concrete will not be durable, and it was a durable thing. Therefore, this permeability test also was carried out to establish that it is good from the point of durability also. Now, friends, from strength and high strength and ultra high strength and early strength concrete, different varieties of concretes that we have seen. Now, let us go to something which looks beautiful. It is called as architectural concrete. Now, architectural concretes, there are several varieties of architectural concrete. The first variety of architectural concrete is a colored concrete. Colored concrete is the first variety. Now, it is manufactured using a very consistent quality ultraviolet resistant pigments. We source it from some select manufacturers. Therefore, it should give ultraviolet resistance, and also it should give long durability and without the color getting faded. Therefore, it is now possible to make concrete of any color that you want, not just gray in color, any color that you want. It is useful for swimming pool decks, car parking areas, industrial floors, etc., etc. Let us look at some of these examples. This is the Hotel Fairmount project in Rajasthan, where the rooftop slab was cast with this kind of concrete. It is an M25. There is nothing like ultra high strength. This is a normal strength concrete M25, but huge area, 16,500 square meters in Jaipur. It's a buckskin color, uniform color throughout. And this is another project where a similar color has been used. This is a project in Gurgaon, in the golf course, where they wanted a particular color. Now, just like you go to a paint shop and ask for the paint, what is the paint and what is the shade of a particular color you want. Similarly, for concrete also you can make it. You can look at the range of colors, shades of colors, and select what color you want. Nowadays, our RMC industry is very well equipped to make concrete for that particular color and deliver it to the site, so that the concrete color is constant for its entire life cycle. Now, in addition to making concrete of different colors, you can also stamp it. Stamped concrete, particularly for parking areas, this is very good. You can see here, you all know what is the meaning of a stamp. You have some design. That design is pressed or stamped onto the fresh concrete The concrete surface should remain fresh for quite some time because it should not set. Therefore, we spray retarders on this, and on this press this stamps so that it makes that particular design, and then it is cured, and then you can see the finished surface on the right hand side. Now this is for a swimming pool. It is a stamped concrete for a swimming pool. This is another photograph of a swimming pool. Now these are some other photographs from Lucknow and Bangalore and so on. This is the driveway with stamped concrete. This is another one. This is one more. Now with the polished concrete, I'm sure I'm coming to the end of the presentation, maybe the last 1 or 2 slides. You can change the color of concrete. That is what I said. You can bring a lot of design, stamped concrete. You can also polish concrete to whatever polish or whatever finish that you want. Now you can see here, there are certain examples here. These are all the examples for polished concrete. Nowadays, you have the expertise as well as the machinery that you have to polish concrete. Before that, you can make concrete of any color you want. That is what you can see, different colors of floors are there. And once you make that concrete floor, you can polish it to this kind of polish. Therefore, you don't need marble or granite or whatever as flooring material. Concrete itself can be an excellent flooring material. These are all examples of flooring concrete. Friends, at the end of my presentation, I take you to putting concrete in very inaccessible locations. Locations where you can't reach at all. Even reaching that location is difficult for you. Now, I give you one example of concreting that happened. This happened quite some time back. Gammon India are the constructors, and they were constructing a bridge on the Brahmaputra river, Jogi Gopa in Assam. Therefore, what they did was, there was no road. Road was being built. There was no road to carry concrete to the particular bridge site to construct the bridge. Whether you will construct the road first or bridge first, that was the question. Therefore, what was done was a very innovative thing which was done by Gammon India. I must thank Mr. S.A. Reddy, who used to tell me this story quite some time back. He is no more today. And this is a floating barge mounted batching plant. There's a barge, and on that the batching plant is mounted. You can see the silos for cement and aggregates, and entire batching plant along with the boom pump, everything is there on the barge. All these materials are filled, and then the barge moves in the river. It goes up to the site where the bridge is being constructed. There only you mix and make concrete, and from the barge you pump it out. That was a very innovative way that the construction was carried out in that Brahmaputra bridge across Brahmaputra in Assam. Now, these were all the projects that our team was involved at different points in time, different years, several years back till recently. And I will end my presentation with probably the last case study. That is not where we were involved. That is taken from the literature. Now, just like a barge, this is the concrete, the lighthouse that is constructed. This is off the Britannic coast in UK. This was off the coast, and there was no way you could take concrete on road. Therefore, concrete was taken in helicopter. Concrete was taken in the helicopter, and you can see a helicopter taking concrete, and the helicopter stands just above the structure, and the bucket opens, and you will be able to pour concrete. A very innovative way of construction with concrete. Therefore, with this, I close my presentation. I have tried to take you all through a journey of concrete used for different purposes, right from housing to roads to infrastructure projects and so on. Therefore, friends, in conclusion, I would like to say that concrete is a versatile material. I hope all of you would agree that concrete is definitely a versatile material, and it is a material that caters to all kinds of structures, all kinds of situations. And it has stood the test of time. That is the reason why there has been no alternative to concrete so far. That is a great advantage that we have. And I come back to my first statement that I made. It remains a democratic material. Therefore, democracy succeeds, and therefore concrete also succeeds. But we should keep in mind, we should not test the tolerance of democracy. We should not go to the extent of challenging democracy or becoming intolerant or abuse democracy. In a very similar way, concrete also should not be abused, and its tolerance limits should not be crossed. That is all that I have to say today. I thank you all for your excellent patience. And on a weekend, I understand more than 500 people have gathered. That is an excellent thing. I must thank RV College of Engineering and Professor Radhakrishna and his entire team, and the professional organization with which I have a long bond, and I would like to continue this bond. That is the Indian Concrete Institute. Thanks to all of you. Thank you, and I hand over back to you.
Thank you, sir. That was a very informative session. I think we can take questions now. So if all the viewers, if you have any questions that you want to address to sir, you can use the question option there. You can type it out. We'll read out the question and sir can answer them. But now I think we've got a few questions, sir. If you're ready, we take the first question, sir?
Yes, we can. Yes, Mr. Dhanush. You are not audible.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay. So the first question is by Gaurav Aradhya. He wants to know what is the sort of connection that exists between the different precast elements in the precast structure, and how effective is this joint connection capable of taking earthquake loads?
Yeah. A good question. Say any structure definitely should be, say the basic thing about the earthquake resistant construction is that the structures should be as flexible as possible. In fact, even in this project, the design was for earthquake resistant construction. In fact, in any precast concrete project, as I said during my presentation, the more challenging thing is are the junctions. The junctions of wall to wall, wall to roof, wall to foundation, and so on. Now, how flexible these joints are, what should be the strength of the material that we use in the joints, and even here different types of grouts, shrink and non-shrink grouts were tried and used. As I said, I think I made a small mention there that there were several trials that had to be done. Now, these after several trials only are successful to make these joints also equally good and equally flexible and equally strong. Now, joints are a critical things, therefore they should be strong and they should also be flexible. Therefore, only when you design it for that kind of flexibility, you will get this required earthquake resistance. It was designed as per earthquake resistance course also.
The next question is by Satya Sai. He wants to know what is the maximum size of aggregate that can be used for polished concrete so that you get a smooth surface at the end of it.
Now, for polished concretes, the aggregate size is not a very critical one, I would say, because polishing can be done for not only new floors, but also floors that are already existing. Now, the top surface, whether it is a 1-coat polish or a 3-coat polish, generally they say I mean, while showing this, there are some 2-3 more slides in between, which I think I have hidden it. That was from the point of view of saving time. Now, if it is for industrial floor, we would require 3 coats, 3-layered polish, whereas for a residential use, it is a single coat. It is independent of this, whether you use 10 mm down or 20 mm down or whatever. That is not the criteria. The polishing can be done. Polishing can be done. Only thing is that the top surface should be good, and with that, these polishing machines are capable of doing that. Say, the few years back, India did not have this capability, but nowadays there are a lot of agencies who have the expertise in polishing. They do an excellent job. Size of the aggregates is not the criteria.
The next question is by one of our own faculty members, Dr. MS Nagkumar. He wants to know, how do we address the requirements for controlled temperature in concrete?
How do we address?
If there's a requirement to control the temperature that is generated.
Say, in making this concrete, one of the basic things is that, you know, how the temperature is generated. Now, as you saw, I think in one of my, say, one of the projects said, the replacement of cement was up to 66%. 66% replacement of cement. Therefore, that plays a very important role in reducing the temperature of concrete. Second thing is we must use cool aggregates. We must always use the cool aggregates, cool the aggregates, and also use refrigerated water for mixing. All these put together, it will help you in reducing the temperature of concrete. And preferably, if the concrete is not done during the daytime, if it is done during the night ambient time, that will also add to this. I'm happy that my good old friend, Professor Nagkumar, is present today and also has raised this question. Thank you very much.
I see a lot of questions related to geopolymer concrete, so I'll try and merge all of them together. What do you think will be the scope of geopolymer concrete in the future and its applicability at a larger scale? Right now, it is more or less limited to, say, laboratory and research. When can we expect its implementation at mass production scale, sir?
Okay, I think it is a right question to a wrong person. The question should have been to Professor Radhakrishna, who is there. But to my limited knowledge, I will answer this. Professor Radhakrishna can add. Geopolymer concrete is definitely an excellent development, which makes use of 100% the supplementary cementitious materials. Now, you can use 100% fly ash on one side, you can use 100% of slag on the other side. Maybe ideally, it is a mix of slag and fly ash that will give you an excellent, much better performance. Now, geopolymer concrete for practice, it has some more stages to cross, I would say. For the purpose of laboratory study, it is excellent. For the purpose of few small blocks that you can make, it is excellent. Even for precast units, also it would be useful because you can control wherever you can control the quality of concrete wherever you make. Then geopolymer concrete is likely to succeed. I am afraid this will not be and should not be used in site mixed concretes. In site mixed concrete, you know our reality. We deal with semi-skilled, unskilled, literate, illiterate people who work on concrete. Therefore, mixing these things, adding the alkali activators, and at what molarity we add, how do we control that, and so on. There are so many controls that are there which have to be very strictly monitored. I am afraid if we start using it for site mixed concrete, we will be bringing a very bad name and early death to this particular concrete. Even after a lot of decades of research on that in Australia, and also nowadays in India, a lot of research is going on. This should be ideally it should start with precast concreting blocks, precast concrete blocks and slightly larger slabs. It should start, and then it should get into the other use, right? Maybe Professor Radhakrishna can add.
Thank you, sir. There is a separate session this month end about the geopolymer concrete. I think we can know more about geopolymer. One of the speakers. I don't have anything to add. Your response to the question was perfect.
Yeah, Dhanush.
Thank you, sir. We'll go with the next question. The next question is by Gangadhar Shetty. He wants to know what are the economic implications of using a monolithic construction as compared to the conventional construction methods, because the demand for concrete and steel is going to be slightly higher. So is this the new way forward?
Now, wherever projects we have worked with, that is the first challenge. The first challenge is, look, per square foot or per 100 square foot, the cost of the project is this much. This is what we have calculated for our conventional construction. Now, you can come with alternatives. Whether you suggest precast construction, whether you suggest monolithic construction, whatever, we welcome whatever you do. But then you should work for this cost only. This is the condition, precondition that we get. Yes, I do agree. Initially, it becomes very, very difficult to match the cost of construction. But let me tell you, now we have come to a stage where for cast in situ or precast, whatever the rates that are there for normal construction, at the same rates we can do this also. Though I don't want to get into the great details of cost of construction, the proof of that is that several projects, wherever you give, even in the Binni Mill area, this PG Shetty construction, Mr. Madhusudan of Mysore, he has done a lot of such structures. In all those structures, the criteria he had was to match the cost of construction. Now, how do they match? It is by saving on time. Please note, cost of time is much more. That adds to the cost, or it reduces the cost. Instead of a contractor with his masons spending 1 year or 1.5 years in the site, if he can complete it in, let us say, 1 month time, 1.5 time, and he runs away from that, he gets out of the project, he will save so much of money. In fact, in conventional construction, we spend a lot of time on these masons and others who would come stage by stage construction. Therefore, this technology has come to that stage where it can match the construction of normal conventional.
I think the next question, again, there are a lot of questions pertaining to shrinkage and crack development. It seems to be from a lot of industry personnel. Is there a general set of guidelines or suggestions that you want to give to people to avoid the development of these cracks, or if there's something that they can do the right way to ensure that this does not happen?
Yeah, in fact, there are different varieties of cracks. The most popular cracks that we come across, let us leave out structural cracks. If there is a structural problem, it has to be treated in a structural way only. That let us not bother about it. Now, whether it is concrete roof or plaster or whatever, you have what is called as plastic shrinkage cracks. These plastic shrinkage cracks come within 24 hours of concreting. Now, how to avoid it? Even before asking the question how to rectify that, let us look at avoiding that. There are very simple ways of avoiding it. Only thing is we should practice that. Number one, you cover the roof with a plastic sheet. Now, why plastic shrinkage cracks occur? It is because the water at the top surface of the concrete, if it starts evaporating, then you will get cracks. You will definitely get cracks. In fact, if you don't cover or if you don't spray these curing compounds on that, And if you don't get cracks, you should be surprised. You should start worrying, "Arey, what is this? No cracks on my slab." You should actually worry. Now, concrete will definitely crack. Therefore, to address this, the simplest thing is cover it with plastic sheet. Or today, these days you get a lot of curing compounds. Just spray like the way they spray DDT. You spray it on the entire slab. It will form a thin coat of wax, something like a wax layer, so that water does not evaporate. That will take care of your cracks most of the time. And with all that, if cracks come and there is no way you are able to do that, if you have observed it within 1 day, just finish it with a slurry then and there itself. Otherwise, there are crack filling agents, crack filling materials which have come to the market in recent times. Of course, Ultratech also has, there are several products like that available in the market. You can use them to fill the cracks. Crack filling agents have come. That is the way to close.
Okay. The next question is, I think, slightly generic in nature. This person asks, there are a lot of technology that is being developed all over the world. And there are a lot of things that we keep reading online and seeing all over the social media. Yet somehow it takes a lot of time for the construction industry in India to actually implement these technologies. What is the challenge, and why are we not more open to bringing in these things, although in a way they actually help us save time and a lot of resources? What do you think is the challenge, sir, and what needs to be done to correct this?
It's a good question, but then the first point I would like to say is that this was the case about 10 years back, 20 years back. There has been a lot of improvements nowadays. To be frank, I should tell you that any new technology, for example, the simplest one that I can quote immediately is this construction of concrete roads, the kind of pavers that you have, whatever the kind of pavers, advanced variety of paving machines that you have in countries abroad, all those varieties or even more number of varieties are there already in India. Therefore, these technologies, even precasting is taking place. Now, please note that India is a very cost-sensitive country. Therefore, any new technology that comes initially, we are worried about the cost. We are worried, you are also worried, everybody is worried about the cost. Now, one more thing, you just look back 15 years back when self-compacting concrete came to India. Now it must be, why 15 years? It is much more than 20 years. Now, when self-compacting concrete came to India, there was nobody to accept. Maybe if you are the contractor and if I am supplying a self-compacting concrete, you would say, no, I don't want this material. Why? Because it was 40 to 45% more expensive than the normal concrete. That is the reason why you are saying, self-compacting, I know, it is very good. It has come from Japan. It has got very good properties. I know it is very good, but I don't want it because it is very expensive. But then later on, only when anything is mass produced, when the quantity produced is very high. See, today you look at all our RMCs, the kind of self-compacting concrete that we are producing, that is a major production. Therefore, when the volume increases, the cost will come down. Cost will go down. Therefore, now I would say the difference in cost between normal concrete and self-compacting concrete is not even 10%. Therefore, all of you are buying 7-8% difference, you don't mind. Therefore, you are asking for self-compacting concrete and buying it, but it is a 20-year-old technology. And even in this case, aluminum shuttering was available, but initial cost was expensive. Then when it became cheap, when it became a volume game, things became very cheap, and therefore people have started adopting. And in the coming days, I am very sure this precast concrete technology also would pick up in a very big way. Taking time, yes, but then nowadays India is much better than what it was earlier.
I think the next question will be the last one. Again, slightly generic in nature. Today we have a lot of students who have joined in for the webinar. And as you know, times are very testing now due to Corona and COVID-19 and all that. A lot of them are actually concerned about their employment in the future. So is there any word of advice that you'd like to give to our student audience as to how they should, be prepared for what is to come?
Yeah. Because you said this is the last question for all others, in case somebody else is there who want to ask the question and they will not be able to ask. That is why I have displayed on my first slide where my email ID is also there. You can send it to either ICI or to me so that I would respond. Now, to my young student friend who has asked this question, yes, for those who are entering the profession like you, it is a testing time. For those who are in the profession like me, or for all the engineers who are already in the profession, even for them, this is a real testing time. For you, getting into a job is a testing time. For people in the industry, retaining their job is also a testing time. But having said that, let me tell you, I do agree that for some more time, maybe for a few more months, it is like this. It is going to be like this. But let me tell you, construction industry is not in the league of sectors like automobile sector or Ola, Uber or airlines industries or hotel industries, which are doomed. I would say they are doomed. They may not come up in the next 2 years' time, maybe something later. But the topmost industries today are the healthcare industries and a few other industries. But next to that is the infrastructure industry. Now, let me tell you, even the healthcare industry, because of this COVID situation, lot of hospitals and all that, all of them which are going to come in the next few months, they cannot do that without civil engineers. Even if a lot of money is pumped into healthcare, we also have a share of 40 to 50% share is there for civil engineers. Then next to that is the infrastructure. India cannot live without infrastructure. We cannot live. Therefore, it may take another time, a few more months of time, because labor also has gone back. By the time they come back, it may take another 5-6 months of time. And after 5-6 months of time, I am very sure the normalcy will come back. Let me also give you my internal industry site industry vision. Yes, right now we are at a kind of 0% or a 10% compared to what we were earlier. Maybe in the next quarter I mean April, May, June is quarter one, July, August, September is quarter two. We are likely to come to about 25 to 30%. And in the third quarter, which ends in December, we are likely to reach about 70%, 75%. And beyond December, we should reach 100%. That is the industry perspective as it stands now. Therefore, yes, fine, few months it is going to be difficult for you. After 6-8 months, I'm very sure the earlier days should come back to you. No need to get so disheartened. That is for my young friend.
Thank you, sir. I think that was the last question. I now request our Professor and Head, Dr. Radhakrishna, to please give the vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dhanush. I think I request Dr. R.L. Ramesh to speak for a few minutes before I propose my vote of thanks. Anything else to tell from ICI? RLR?
Yeah, sir, 1 minute, sir. I
Okay.
have one question to Dr. Ramchandra, sir. So
Okay,
you are
please.
preparing
Yeah.
a special concretes for special structure. Did you face any economic challenges for making of this special structure, sir?
You mean, say, Ramesh, say,
Yeah.
getting a question from Ramesh is a very pleasant thing, I should say. I also had the privilege of being his teacher when he studied at SIT. That is my privilege. And that also reminds me that I am getting older and the next generation is coming up very efficiently and very fast. Yes, having said that, I'll come to your question. Yes, Ramesh, whatever the technology advancement in materials, all that we talked about, every day.
Yeah.
Of course, I have not talked about it in my presentation. The commercial part of it, I have never clubbed it along with my presentation. But you go to any project,
Yeah.
the first thing that is talked about is commercial. Then comes the technology part. Yes, they do talk about the requirement. When the requirements are like that your slump should be so high and your slump retention should be so high, water cement ratio should be so low, and you have to make concrete which you should pump for 250 meters. Definitely, you can't ask for concrete the same rate as you get your normal concrete for a house. Normal concrete that moves around in Bangalore, normal M30 or M40 concrete, which can be used for a road, let us say. For road, you don't need pumping at all, you can dump that concrete. Compared to that, if you have to pump it for 200 meters or 250 meters, definitely it will be expensive. But then that project is also such expensive, otherwise you can't construct something at 250 meters. But yes, nothing can be exorbitant anytime, because today industry also faces a lot of competition from the industry colleagues. Therefore, to match with them, yes, number one is that people prefer these days, let me tell you, just as most of the audience, all of you, you look for a very good performing mobile phone, a smartphone. You just don't buy any smartphone that is available in the market very cheap. You also look for the performance. Therefore, industry also, construction industry also, they look for the performance, and they are willing to pay for the material or for the agency which consistently performs. As I showed in one of my slides, if I had to give you some 100 meter cube of concrete, that is something. If I have to give you 80,000 meter cube of concrete with consistent quality from beginning to end, it is not a joke. Therefore, they also take particular precautions for doing that. Yes, commercial thing, economic things are a very important factor. As teachers, when you talk to your students, you talk about sustainability, right? Economic, social, environmental, and all that. Similarly, in construction industry also, you have a sustainability circle. The sustainability consists of 3 circles. One is the technical circle, another is the marketing circle, and the third is the commercial circle. You can produce anything technically good, but if you cannot market it, there is no use. You have anything good, you can market it, but not at the correct price, then also you can't sustain. So that is the sustainability circle in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is a small submission for all the attendees. So the upcoming event for the Monday is job opportunities for civil engineers. So this program is hosted by Dayanand Sagar College of Academy, Bangalore, and Tuesday program is on the high strength concrete. So this program is hosted by BMS College of Engineering, and the eminent speaker for the Tuesday is, so high strength concrete is Dr. R.V. Rangnath, the professor of BMS College of Engineering, is going to address the high strength concrete. And for the job opportunities for civil engineering students, so the engineer Girish HR is the moderator, and the panelists are Dr. Ashwath MU, Principal BIT, and one more is engineer Ashish Singh, a panelist too from the JK Cements, and one more, the third panelist is engineer Narayan Gowda, Vice President's Legacy. So these two are the upcoming events for the next 2 days. So thank you, sir. Radhakrishna, sir. You can propose the vote of thanks, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
on behalf of ICI, once again, I thank to Ramchandra, sir. Okay. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ramesh. In fact, it was a wonderful session by the eminent speaker, Dr. VR. The positive thing is we could not accommodate many because the maximum number has crossed. Interested, but we could accommodate minimum number, maximum 500. So thank you very much for a wonderful session, sir. Definitely, even in COVID time, people are engaged with learning. I feel it is my privilege to thank you. You are the perfect blend of academics and industry. I think it is a very, very rare combination. So I think you are the inspiration to many young engineers and budding engineers, please, sir. So it is my privilege to thank you on behalf of ICA and RBC, sir, for your wonderful lecture. Hope you will continue to monitor the youngsters. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to thank the authorities of Indian Concrete Institute Bangalore Center, none other than Chairman Dr. L.R. Manjunatha and Secretary Dr. R.L. Ramesh and all other MC members, especially Professor Raghavendra. When we discussed this webinars in the meeting, it was spontaneous. Within one or 2 days, it was materialized. That's how Indian Concrete Institute will work. Thank ICI for arranging such wonderful series of webinars. Of course, some more to come. And I want to tell you that there will be one more webinar on geopolymer concrete shortly. We have to finalize the date and the exact time. So please bear with us. I will be one of the speakers. I thank the office bearer, office assistant of Indian Concrete Institute Bangalore Center, because he is the person who is doing a lot of work behind the screen. Thank you, Pasha, for your contribution. Thank none other than my own colleague, youngster, for being online. Thank you very much. I thank all the attendees. In fact, there were 250 attendees before 10 o'clock, and it was full. So thank you very much. There was very good response, and without you, this would have been not successful. So thank you once again, and see you soon in such webinars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ramchandra sir, namaste.
We'll end the session with this. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Pasha sir, stop the recording. Pasha.